have to admit, it's going to be a weird one. This is going to sound like anti-crypto, it's going to sound pro-crypto, it's going to sound anti-risk and pro-risk at the same time. My name's Lewis Jackson, by the way. I don't care if you're investing in gold, putting money, cash in the bank, investing in XRP, buying Bitcoin, buying real estate. The fact is that risk is actually everywhere. Now, this came up in a conversation with me and one of the students on one of these prospective calls that we do. If you want to get an exit strategy and a plan for taking profits in this bull run so you don't watch it go up and come all the way back down without doing anything, I urge you to stick around to the end of the video where I'll tell you more about this. But if you want to skip straight to it, you can book a call to talk with me or someone on my team for 45 minutes about how you need to navigate this bull run to make the maximum amount of money possible while also preserving some wealth for the future as well. But they were asking me, where can I put my assets that is the least risky? Because when they were talking about taking profits, they said, I don't really want to take profits. And I don't want to take profits because I don't want to put my money into the bank. I don't trust the bank. And I get it. I completely get that sentiment because, fiat currency is the old way of doing things, not as efficient. But then I posed this question in the call. If you put your take profits into USDT, is there any risk there? Sure, there's risk there. Like Tether could go down. Tether's seen plenty like destabilizing kind of effects on the price. Okay, what about USDC? Yeah, it's not... there's risk everywhere. There's nothing you can do that will completely remove risk. You have to take risk. We are in an investment environment. In order for investments to grow, risk has to be taken. It's impossible to avoid. And I'll give you an example. The risk of having your assets in the bank is that the fiat system could collapse. That's the risk. The benefit of having your profits in a bank is because Tether could collapse. You see how it's the same on both sides. There's risk everywhere. You have to just weigh up that risk and make it feel in alignment with who you are. This video is not going to be necessarily long, but what I'm trying to do here, and I talk about this. Look, there's 28 hours of content in my program where I talk about this, so clearly I can't go to 28 hours of content right here. But what I will say is that the most effective way to bring this risk into alignment with you is to have it separated, have your way you're taking profits or any decision points plotted along a series of points. Let me explain. So it might be best to use the whiteboard, but the point is, let's use taking profits and holding. The risk of taking profits is that the value of those assets would have been significantly higher later down the line. The risk of not taking profits is because the price could go down. So there is risk on both sides, whether you take profit or hold. There's risk both ways. So in order to calculate this in the most appropriate way to who you are, you have to give yourself some time. And when I say time, I mean like you might have to give yourself 2 weeks to think about this, right? This isn't like a quick thought process. Yeah, this is good. You really have to deep this stuff. You have to think about it. And people in my program obviously provided the resources to be able to think about it and give it that time that it deserves. But let me tell you how it works. So it's very simple. This is a method for measuring your gut, which most people ignore these days because the world's gone crazy and no one pays attention. But essentially, when you're looking at taking profits, you have to look at this. You have to ask yourself a series of questions. How likely is it that I'm not going to benefit from this wealth in the next 20 years, right? Ask yourself a question like that. And if you're 70 years old, you look at that and go, well, it's kind of likely, it's certainly more likely for me than other people that I won't see the benefit of that if it takes 20 years for these assets to increase over time. Therefore, it is a risk for you to hold the assets unless you've got aspirations, purely selfless aspirations to where you want these assets to be in the possession of your family. Of course, these are all considerations, but you essentially have to attribute a percentage of your confidence, like a confidence score, a percentage of your confidence in different eventualities, and therefore what you do as a result of that. So this will impact so many parts of your investing because it will also impact how you diversify your portfolio or how you don't. It will impact how much you're selling and how much you don't sell. It will impact what you sell into and what you don't sell into. But for the example of taking profits, I might say, it's 50% chance that I'm not going to make it to the next 20 years because I'll be 95 and no one in my family's reached 95. That kind of mentality, you can say, okay, it's going to be I'm 50% likely that I'm going to take benefit from it. Well, that's one metric. Now, you look at that 50% and you go, am I happy to take 50% of what I've built as profits? How does that feel to me? And I want you to ask that question to yourself multiple times over the course of 2 or 3 days, right? Think about it now, revisit the conversation, have a reminder in your phone just to ask yourself that question, Sit and think about it. Make it the thing that you think about in bed when you kind of go into bed. Think about this. Let's say you got 100,000 XRP, for example, and you're going to sell 50,000. And you would sell 50,000 at reasonable price points, like one all the way up to kind of $11. How does that feel to you? You know, separate the content, separate the influencers, what the influencers say. The price is going to go this crazy price. Sure, it might. But you've got to balance this. Do I feel okay with 50% that I'm going to take profit on? If the answer feels weird to you, that means it's out of authenticity. And we need to act within authenticity, because within authenticity means you can have confidence in everything you do. That means the door is closed to emotion. If you feel out of authenticity and emotion comes knocking, you'll open that door to emotion, it will come flooding in and the plan is out the window. So you have to have this rigid view of your confidence. You have to have this authenticity about you. So if you sat there for 2 or 3 days and you thought, actually, you know, I don't think I'm going to reach 95, so let's adjust this. Like, let me adjust the things. Maybe I'm just going to take 60%. I'll take 60% off the table and leave 40. And again, sit with that for another 2 or 3 days. So does this actually feel right? Do I feel super confident in that? You might start getting down to 60 feels a bit weird, but maybe 55. You can incrementally change it. It might take 2 weeks to get to this number where you're like, that just feels right. Pay attention to your gut. Don't pay attention to what everyone else is doing. Pay attention to your gut. It will steer you right, and it will not invite emotions in. Now, that's kind of like, I want to say that because risk is everywhere, but you have to balance this risk. Everything you do in crypto has a risk associated with it. If it's safer, then there's less risk for you, but it's still risk. If it's not as safe, then there's higher risk for you, still risk. If you understand what I'm saying, you'll kind of get that. Anyone who would fit for this program is resonating with this right now, right? For everyone who's like getting emotionally worked up and like, oh, he's talking about taking profits for XRP. Yeah, you're not my avatar anyway for my business. Like, what I've created here is massively valuable for the right person. You're just not that person. That's fine. But if you are that person, I do urge you to book in a discovery call. It's completely free. We're going to talk for 45 minutes with me or someone in my team. The chances are it'll be me. We'll talk about, you know, where you stand right now, where you're trying to get to, the gap in between, and then ultimately decide whether the program's actually good for you or not. If it's not, I don't want you to spend a load of money on something that's not going to work for you. But what I will say is that the 53 people in the program as of the day of recording this are getting incredible results. And I'd love to invite you to go and look at click the link in the description, go and look down at the testimonials and what people are saying and listen to them. Don't listen to me. People are having a very transcendental experience in the program. There's a lot more to this mentality-wise that you're missing. And if you want to boost that mentality side and also have a logical plan of action for how this should play out for you in terms of taking profits in the bull run, the Blockflow program is going to be ideal for you. So I'd love to have a conversation with you. That's all really. Risk is everywhere. Use that confidence metric, lay it all out on the table, and you'll be on your way to create a good plan. Thanks.